As a lot of you guys probably know, we were very fortunate this bow season. Our whole family was able to tag out by early November with our target bucks on the farm. Hunter shot the stubby 10 during his first hunt of the year on October 4th. Trevor shot one of our biggest bow bucks ever on October 26th. And Dad is able to take down the big sexy 7 on November 4th, who had been an absolute monarch of the farm for as long as we had owned it. All the while we were honing in on the public land and getting on some great bucks, we just tagged out before we could knock anything down on public. This is only our second season hunting in this area, so we used our good fortune to really spend time scouting the public land to prepare for late season and years to come. Now, I need to give a little bit of an overview of the 2 public land units that you'll see us focusing on through most of the muzzleloader season. We named the first unit Bushy Bottom. And then you went to Bushy Bottom.
The place we're calling Bushy Bottom now. We got some cool names coming up for these. I'm pretty excited.
No, not what you're thinking. We just call it that because it has a lot of bottom ground that is super thick. We ran a trail camera over a couple of trail intersections and multiple scrapes, and we're absolutely blown away by the pictures we got. The camera only worked for 6 days, but it was during the rut and we got at least 6 different shooters in there. So with that info, along with Trevor's little bit of history with the unit and seeing a big velvet buck in there this summer, had us really excited to hunt it. The other one I wanted to touch on is the little buck unit. And if you're wondering, that unit got its name because I actually killed my smallest deer ever in that unit last year as well. I killed it with my girlfriend Jessie. We had a really long week, the end of bow season, and just never posted it because we didn't actually get the shot on film. Killed it with her. It was a ton of fun. I was ready to shoot something, and I had actually hunted that unit several times last year and had some pretty good hunts. I saw a big buck in there early season, and then I had some decent hunts the rest of the year, but never saw anything else big. And then that week we hadn't seen anything, and I finally told Jesse the next buck that came in I was gonna shoot. So he was the lucky little feller, and I smoked him at 15 yards on the ground with 2 of us there. So it was really fun, but that's how it got its name.
The cool thing about it is the little buck unit I think has the biggest bucks in it.
And so that's the story on how that place got its name. Trevor and I had a good hunt in there this year during October with a buck that just wasn't quite a shooter for that early in the season, and we found an insane amount of buck signs, so it was another place we wanted to run a trail camera. We are happy to say with confidence now that there are plenty of big bucks in the little buck unit. It had already been one of our best seasons yet, so to say we were excited to get back out there would be an understatement.
I think it's just melted deer. I don't think that's people. Looks like Sasquatch. Probably is. Dude, there's a Yeti in here. Holy crap, dude. That's a big footprint. There's a Yeti. Alright, so we're out here today on the little buck unit. This morning we went to Bushy Bottom, and what Dad came with, we kind of split up to kind of cover a lot of ground. Dad saw about 10 does. I saw about 2 or 3. So we didn't see any bucks, but instead of going back into that unit, we decided to switch it up again. We decided to switch it up because the wind is kind of bad, and we went in there not on a bad wind. We were expecting the deer to move back up into bed, and if the deer got behind us, they would have already smelled us. So we're gonna back out of there, try a different unit here. We're in the little buck unit now. I'm getting up to a spot where when I was checking trail camera, I actually bumped a shooter buck out of his bed, so hopefully that happens again. We haven't found any people sign coming in here so far, which is...
found a few boot tracks, but we think they're ours.
Yeah, we found some old boot tracks, which we think is ours because we were actually putting as many boot tracks down as possible to deter other people from coming in here, so maybe it worked, hey. But we're going back in today. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do. We're going to split up a little bit and both film ourselves. I got my camera here. And so we're going to go back in there, hopefully see some deer. Should be good. We like this spot. If it didn't get pressured, it's a good spot. But
tell them about doe hunting and only seeing bucks.
Yeah, I came in here. We came in here late November, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I had
So post-rut.
Yeah, so I had post-rut, and we came into this unit, and I actually only had a doe tag, and we sat up, I think, a couple times in here, and we wanted to observe what was going on and hopefully just come in and shoot a doe. And every time we came in here, we saw piles and piles of bucks, and we saw 1 or 2 does, but they were so far away you couldn't do anything about it. So hopefully if the luck continues, I don't think it's going to happen. We're going to probably see a lot of does, but hey, should be a good night. It's really warm. That's the biggest problem with this week, and it's the biggest change, is this week is supposed to be like 52 degrees on Christmas Day. So the weather is just not ideal for this week. It's not normal.
Most of the public's gotten pounded for 3 weeks.
Yeah, and most of the public's been pounded for 2 to 3 weeks with gun season, so it might have totally made it even different. So I'll quit talking and let's get back in there and hopefully we see some action. Alright, so I just got set up in the spot. I'm gonna call this spot the perch, just because it worked out, like, I would say pretty well. We've got a creek that's running through here, and got some really steep elevation change right here, and it's super steep. So I came up to the top of this little spot, and I'm watching over this big bottom here. I could probably see 200 to 300 yards in here. Should be a pretty good spot. Actually, early season, Hunter and I sat and we saw that smaller buck. I think it was just up a little bit further than where I'm at right now. There's some trails coming off this. There's a giant rub right on the edge, so I guess the deer do work this very edge. But from doing some doe hunting with Hunter a couple weeks ago, we actually saw a lot of bucks cruising right up in this on these little pin oaks over here. We saw the bucks each time we sat here, so it should be a better spot. I'm set up where I can see up further to my right here, up further into the cove, and then I can also see kind of back behind me a little bit. So pretty good spot, other than I might be sitting in a coon tree here, so we might have some visitors later on, but we'll have to see. So hopefully we see some deer. 4:30. Legal shooting runs until 5:17. So we got probably 45 minutes, probably more than likely less than that. I'm not going to do the math. But that same spot where I saw those 4 or 5 does come through, I look up and there's a buck. I couldn't tell how big he was just because he's about 230 yards plus in the trees. He has his head down most of the time, but I could see his left side looked pretty nice, but his right side I couldn't tell if it was busted or what. So before I could get the camera on it and really judge how big he actually was, he was already behind brush, and then he kind of poked his head out again, and I could kind of get an idea of what he looked like. But then he popped back in again, so that's quite a poke. I don't have any. 1, it's the first day out. 2, I don't have like a shooting stick or anything to get super steady, and that's quite a poke for me. 1, I'm not that good with a gun, so I'm hoping that he's working his way this way. Hunter's actually to my left, probably 300 yards, so he can't see any of these deer, but this is at least giving me a pretty good idea of where we need to go, either in the morning or the next couple days. So it's pretty cool to see a buck like that on his feet naturally. So I'm hoping the spot's pretty good. We got a lot of time left if you really think about it. Hopefully we get one to come in a lot closer.
Well, after that exciting hunt, we knew we needed to get back into the little buck unit as soon as the conditions were right. The next morning on Christmas Eve, we went to the frame pack unit looking for this guy, but found a bunch of four-wheeler tracks instead, and that kind of put a bad taste in our mouths for that area. After a short break to celebrate the birth of Christ, we were back out hunting the morning of December 26th.
Alright guys, we're heading into the little buck unit, and we had a really good hunt here the last afternoon that we hunted before Christmas. We didn't think we were going to get good conditions to go in for a while, but the ground is not frozen, and that's what we need. If it was frozen, we'd spook everything out, and we don't want to ruin it going in for a morning hunt. So it's really quiet. We're going to get up and slip in to where we've seen bucks crossing this marsh down here quite a bit before we've seen it happen. I don't know, 3 or 4 times we've seen shooters down here in the past month and a half, when either scouting, doe hunting, or this last on the 23rd, last time we hunted in here. So I think we have a really good shot tonight. The wind's also switched to being right, so it's cooling off all day. It should be good. Pretty pumped. We're splitting up right here. It's the afternoon hunt now, and we're back in the little buck unit. Trevor's gonna go to the exact spot that we sat in this morning. We have a lot of confidence in that little draw and this marshy bottom down here, just from all of our scouting that we've been doing. And we have even seen a shooter already during muzzleloader season in there, or what we think was a shooter. So I think he has a really good chance. But to increase our odds a little bit, I'm gonna go up the ridge here and hunt this CRP field. I think I've actually sat there one other time before. I actually didn't see any deer, but only one sit, so only one sample size. So hoping to have a little bit better luck, but I'm gonna wait until he gets completely set up, and then he's gonna text me and let me know, because my wind's actually gonna be blowing straight at him the entire night. So could work to our advantage, could hurt us, not really sure, but I want to make sure he's set up, because if I do spook anything going in, or if they win me and try to escape down there, which I think they could, I want him to be set up and ready to shoot it. So that's the plan, but we're trying to stick to one of the theories I'm sure I didn't come up with it, but realized last muzzleloader season is find a spot you're really confident in and then hunt it until it's either not good anymore or you don't have the right conditions. But I think I've definitely fallen into this trap, and a lot of people probably are nowadays, where you're just bouncing around so much and doing all these first time sits. Well, chances are that you could be in a good spot every first time set that you go into, but if you only hunt it that one time, you don't really give it a full chance, in my opinion. I know you want to keep pressure down, but I think you also have to give it a chance. I think it's better to go in, apply the pressure, for 1 or 2 days, 3 days at a time, and really get a feel for that area if you're confident in the spot and you've done your scouting, and then move, rather than going in once a week or once every 2 weeks, which I think could actually really apply more pressure, because you're leaving more ground set more consistently than just going in 3 days and then leaving it alone. So that's the theory, that's the plan. We've got this side pretty much on lockdown, and hoping we get a big buck tonight. So we'll see you up there.
Well, I just wanted to wrap up the video here quick. It's too bad that buck wasn't, just 30 yards closer or on the other side of all that brush. Would have probably put him at around 200 yards, which is probably the max range on our muzzleloaders. And Trevor just didn't feel confident with that shot, and being as it was the first day, we definitely didn't want to take a chance. And we wouldn't have taken that shot on the last day either. It's just a little too far, a little too much brush. And interestingly enough, after watching the footage, I think the buck was out there longer than what Trevor actually realized. And between him messing with the camera and trying to get all that set up, he didn't realize that it actually was out there longer than it was. So I could hear him talking, and he was getting kind of frustrated, and I don't think he realized that the buck was out there. I still think it was probably too far of a shot, so couldn't really made it happen. And I wish we would have been down in there where we ended up going to set up, because it would have been in range of where that buck crossed, where we went to set up those later hunts, but we couldn't have been. I was kind of kicking myself for not doing that, but then looking back, it's like he couldn't have done that because the wind was perfectly wrong. So maybe he's using that to his advantage, but just that was the best setup for the day, and unfortunately he just didn't come quite in range. But it's super exciting start to the season, and looking forward to bringing a little bit more action on these next parts. I think it's going to be a 3-part series. Our Wi-Fi down where we stay to hunt isn't quite fast enough to do a day-by-day semi-live series that we've kind of done in the past a little bit and that you see on other channels. We just can't do that, so rather than go to McDonald's and try to upload videos and edit them as we're hunting, we just focused on hunting, and now we're all done, so we're going to be getting these videos out. I'm thinking it's going to be a 3-part series. I'm hoping to make it higher quality, I guess a little bit more cinematic, but let us know what you think of the video. If you liked it, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, and then comment down below on your feedback if you like this style of video, or if you don't like this style of video, tell us what you like, and we answer every single comment. We read them all, so be sure to leave your feedback down below. So anyway, look forward to bringing you more action, and make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.